The Heart of Art is brought to you by the Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts at Texas A&M University, bringing innovative and culturally diverse visual and performing arts programming to Texas A&M University and the Brazos Valley. The Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts fosters the creativity of our community via the transformative power of the arts.
The Heart of Art, scoping the Brazos Valley for the best artists and bringing them to your radio. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the KMU Studios. My name is Hector Nino, and you're listening to The Heart of Art. Today in the studios, we have a very special show planned for you. We will be revisiting my interview with Shelby Lancaster. She is a local artist born and raised here in College Station. She is finishing up her first semester at UNT as an art student. And if you'd like to check out her work while we have this discussion, you can go to her Instagram at Private Canvas. That's her Instagram at Private Canvas. And last time I interviewed her, it was at the beginning of this year, and she's grown so much since. She's dabbed into ceramics, textiles, and a lot of other mediums, so I definitely recommend for you guys to go and check out her Instagram and see how much she's grown. And for my second guest, we will be revisiting my interview with Elena Reece, who is the artistic director of the Friends of Chamber Music. And we talk a little bit about what her master's in musicology means and what it means to be artistic director of the Friends of Chamber Music. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And now for our announcements. The Department of Music Activities, they will be hosting multiple concerts this weekend, and that will be tomorrow, December 4th. And the University Orchestra's concert will be at Rudder Theater at 3 p.m. And this will be the Philharmonic and the Chamber Orchestras performing holiday classics. And then the choral activities will have their Holiday Spirit of Aggieland concert. And this will be at the Rudder Auditorium at 7 p.m. And that consists of the Singing Cadets, Century Singers, and Women's Choirs. So there's a lot of holiday music this weekend, and make sure you go and attend these wonderful concerts, and I bet it's going to be a great time. All right, and let's start my interview with Shelby Lancaster. Today in the studio, I have a very good friend of mine. Her name is Shelby Lancaster. She is a great artist. If you'd like to check out her work, make sure to go to her Instagram on @PrivateCanvas. Her name is Shelby Lancaster, so you can go ahead and take a look while we're having this little talk. Hello, Shelby. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. I haven't seen you in such a long time. I feel like it's been forever.
I feel like the last time you saw me, I didn't have hair.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. You sure did have a buzz cut.
Had a buzz cut. I grew it out and doing something different.
Oh, cool. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess where I like to start off is people's backgrounds. So where are you from?
I'm from College Station. I'm
College
local.
Station?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that has any effect on your art?
It probably does with me, like without me knowing that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure if I grew up in a big city, things would be different. So, and definitely I know like my upbringing and my surroundings growing up probably plays an effect on that.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I mean, we have some friends in common, so I know that you went to College Station High School, and they did tell me that your work was like constantly recognized. It was like on the walls.
It was, yeah.
Would you say that your art was kind of like polished in high school?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like in high school, like art has always been a thing for me. And I mean, it was no different when I got to high school.
Right.
I can remember since like first grade, my stuff was being recognized or like somebody was doing something with it within the school at least. So high school, I don't know if it wasn't any different for me, but also I also didn't feel like I was anything special, you know, like because I'm a quiet person and I keep a close circle of people. And I didn't really have too many close friends in high school. It wasn't until afterwards. But I mean, some of the staff didn't even know who I was, and I was just really low key. But my art would be out there somehow, and people would know me for that.
I feel like your art is like much more loud than you.
It is,
Yeah.
which I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious as to what you were doing in first grade. Hold up.
So, honestly, the earliest memory of me doing anything artsy, I guess. I know, growing up, even before kindergarten, I would copy my mom because she would always doodle these little horses and stuff. That's all she would do, and so that's what I knew, so I would copy her. And then eventually I found out there was other things. But then I know in kindergarten, there was a moment where we were sitting down, on this long table, and there were students next to each other, and we were drawing something. I don't know. It was just a drawing activity. Mm-hmm. And I remember the kid next to me asking me if I could draw this for them.
Oh, because they knew that you would do better.
But yeah, even it was either first or second grade, but they had the the Christmas card competitions.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if it was a competition when you were that young, but they would choose the best ones.
It low-key was a competition.
Uh-huh. And then they chose mine. It was of some snowman. I don't know. It was for Christmas, and they made copies of it, and they framed my thing and gave it to me.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I remember, I have memories from as early as I can recall.
So your art, what would you say is your art style? When I was kind of looking at them and looking at the art styles, I hop into surrealism maybe, or what would you identify it as?
Honestly, I don't think I've spent the time to even put a label on it.
Right.
And I don't know if I want to.
Ooh,
because I get the past few years, I've been trying to hone in on, okay, what am I really into doing and what I want to do more of? Mm-hmm. Because I know my favorite thing is portraits, whether it is realism, surrealism, whatever it comes out to be. I don't know if I don't always necessarily go into them knowing what style I want this to be in, but I know it's going to come out looking like my work. It doesn't look like anyone else's.
Right, yeah. I mean, your hand is so distinct.
Yeah.
Just for context, how old are you? I want our audience to know how old you are.
I turned 26 in December.
26, okay. So you are very young, but your hand looks so experienced. I mean...
Yeah, it's always been a natural... I was thinking to myself today, just what's going to come up in this interview. And it's how everyone is just born into, they know how to breathe already. I already knew how to use those abilities. I don't know, I don't know if it runs, there's nothing really in the family other than my mom, but she never took things seriously, so I don't know what she's capable of.
Right.
But other than that, I don't know where it came from. It was just I was born into it. This was just a part of my agenda.
Well, you're one of the lucky few.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little bit of surrealism, a little bit of pop art, maybe even if you want to label it. I know you don't want to, but for our audience, I guess, who are listening, so they can kind of have an image of what your paintings look like. And you also use different types of mediums, right?
Yeah. So I mainly play with acrylics. That's what I've been using for years, and I'm sure what most people start out using when they're painting. I haven't tried oils. I really want to. They're so buttery, but I just haven't. They're expensive.
Yeah.
And then I've done my fair share of graphite. I did that all through high school, and I still try to go back to it every now and again, but it's not my favorite.
I see on your Instagram that you have a lot of color pencils. And things that appear to be crayons, but I don't know if they are crayons.
I haven't used crayons, but the colored pencil. So I'm at Blinn right now. It's my second year, and I've been trying my best to take all the art that I can, just to learn what I don't know, because a lot of my stuff is naturally taught or self-learned, whatever. But the colored pencils, I always love looking at people do colored pencils. When they're really good at it, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
But I had never tried it. I don't even think I was interested, but we had some projects in my drawing class that we used colored pencils, and I realized I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, I mean, extraordinary work.
It's fun. Like, different mediums other than acrylics for me are just, they're fun to play with. Acrylics is what I really take seriously.
Yeah.
So
I saw this series on your Instagram, the ones that were like, be kind, be understanding, be honest. That was, I mean, amazing for me. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what it meant for you.
So I can't recall like where that idea came from. I always have these spurts of just, let me try this, let me do something different. I always wanted, because those were, I posted a picture and then I followed it with like a sped up version of me actually doing it. And I'm always into the idea of making videos. And I always love even watching them on YouTube and stuff, but I don't actually sit down and make the time for it. I don't know, that was just like, I'm always into those little meanings in life, and I know they can be corny and cliche, but I think they're said so often for a reason, to just be kind and, be courageous. And sometimes I know for me, like through my art, I do have to remind myself of those things, and those are just little spurts of creativity that obviously, as if you can see, like there's only a few of them. It was meant to go on longer, but it stopped because that's what happens in my brain. Like I just move on to something else.
Next thing, I mean, the reason I bring it up is because it does look like it was different types of like mediums. I saw like pen even.
So yeah, that was really playful for me. I just brought out, I mean, I wasn't going to sit there and do a painting, like I just used pastels and pencils and pens, whatever I could find.
I mean, to me, it was kind of like, it looks even childlike.
It is, yeah.
But with like very, things you say every day, be kind, be understanding, be honest. But it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like taking it to like your childhood level. Like it is so basic, so common, yet people still have to be reminded about it.
Yeah, so you saying, the whole child atmosphere thing, I find myself often like honing into that feeling. And I don't know why. I've always felt like a child at heart, and a lot of things that I do, and even just out in my personality, it'll come out. And sometimes I can just be really expressive in that nature, and just this like youthful, childlike atmosphere, and it comes out in my art too.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly visible through your feed on Instagram. Are there any like main messages or overarching themes that you'd say your paintings have?
I'm gonna assume that by the end, there is no end, but by the height of my artistic journey, I'm gonna end up with probably 99% self-portraits, because that's what I love to do. And I assume Frida Kahlo felt the same way, because she did a bunch of them of herself too, and I get that. You see yourself every day, it's something that you're so familiar with. And being able to paint it or draw or whatever, you start to see yourself at different angles and different lights, and you're like, this is what I really look like. But it's not really, it's more of a feeling for me. Like painting is, I'm not trying to, make an exact copy of what I see in front of me. It's more of like, what am I feeling through this?
So more of like a reflection of yourself. Like in self-reflection. I love that.
Yeah, it's all of my painting, but especially my self-portraits, are this self-love act. It's just this journey of like self-care, honestly, because through it all, it's just this natural like meditation space for me. I don't go to it to meditate, but when I'm doing it, it's just naturally happening. Like I'm just relaxed, and I'm not stressed out at all. And there's ideas constantly flowing in my head, and like it just ends up being whatever it is.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think with other interviews, what we've spoken about is like how we grow with our paintings. And I think it's interesting that you're doing self-portraits, because as you increase your capabilities in art, you're also growing as a person, and I feel like there's an interesting relationship between those two.
There is. Yeah, I've found myself, of course, like I love doing portraits of anybody. It could be a stranger, it could be an image I found online, but I've stepped away from doing that because it doesn't connect with me necessarily. It's not like an attachment that I have, and it's not something that I want to deeper explore. even like portraits of family members or friends, like I'm not even too interested in. I'll do them every now and again, but it's really the self-portraits that make me keep going. Like I
That's
just
your
want to
forte.
make more.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, I mean, I was going to ask you about your inspirations, but you mentioned Frida Kahlo
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Like every time I get asked if I have a favorite artist or who is it, I don't know how to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
I am honestly like, I hate being this artist that doesn't really know the history of everything, because so many professors who do this for a living, like they can just spit out facts and history, and they know who did this and who did that, and it's so overwhelming, and I know I'm probably expected to know those things, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily have a favorite artist, because every time I go somewhere and see art, it's always enjoyable for me. I can always learn from everybody.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever seen art that I don't like or that I can't learn from. I do know I had a really euphorical experience in high school. My senior year, we took I was in like an advanced art class, so we did special things, but
of course.
we went to we took a field trip to this collection in Houston. It's called the Manil Collection. I'm pretty sure it's still there. I think it's a permanent thing, but it's just these different buildings, and they all have different art in them. But there's one building there. It's called the Cy Twombly Collection or something. I'm not sure, but he's an artist. He's passed. He's gone. But I went there, and we started off like as a group of people, and then I eventually I ended up spending a lot more time in these rooms with his art, and everyone kind of just drifted away from me. They just kept going throughout the building. And I don't know what it was. If you look up his art, like it's very sporadic, and it's very, you can tell all of it was in the moment, and like he put whatever was right then and there, he put it into his work. And it's really what anyone could do. It just looks like a scratch pad, like just like a notepad, but blown up. It's like all his ideas written down, and just like sloshes of paint everywhere. Like
almost
it's
like a
really
stream
messy.
of consciousness type. Okay.
But I went there, and as I was walking through, I don't know what happened in my body, but I remember staring at this one piece, and there was, you could tell like where he'd used a spray bottle, and it created like this dripping thing going on with the paint.
Wow.
And I just started crying. Like I was like full on bawling, just hysterical. And I wasn't even embarrassed. I was so in the moment, and I don't know what happened to my spirit. I don't know like what was going on inside of me, but it was just really, it was really spiritual for me, and it was very euphoric, and all these feelings. I didn't care who. There was like a kindergarten class standing around me, and I didn't even care, but it just felt so good to have, even though I don't know what happened, I felt so connected to this artist that I had never known before. I'd never heard of him. I'd never seen his work. I felt so connected to him for some reason.
Wow.
Because he would write little words in his artwork, and then he would paint over them and write something else, and you can just standing there trying to dictate what was there before, and like just little messages that he was trying to put out, whether it was intentional or not. Like it was just really, I loved it, and it made me cry for some reason, and I'm going to remember that forever. And that's never happened to me before then or afterwards. And so for that reason, I tend to say that Cy Twombly is my favorite artist.
Okay.
But, give or take, yes and no. It was just the moment for me. It was just what I experienced.
I mean, that's what I love about art, that it just hits everyone differently on different scales even.
And you never know.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to hit you. All right. And then more specifically about your paintings, I see that there's a lot of patterns and colors, a focus on color.
Yeah.
How do you come up with these colors and patterns even?
So,
because I feel like they capture the essence of the person that you are also painting in that. So
I'm glad you say that, because it's kind of random for me. But so to be honest, it wasn't until my senior year of high school that I did my first painting. Oh. Before that, I hated color. I hated...
What?
I don't know if I'd say hate, but I just was never, ever interested in using them or even trying to. Like, I was not interested. I was so stuck on doing graphite portraits with pencil and black and white. Like, it was just a thing for me, and I felt like I could get so much more realism out of that. So I just stuck to it, and it was something I had practiced and I was familiar with. But color, yeah. I did my first portrait my senior year of high school, and I haven't stopped painting since then.
Good.
Yes. Like now, graphite is something I barely touch now, but I haven't stopped painting since that one time, and color has been like, it just like washed over me. I don't know what happened, but I absolutely love using color, and whether I mean to or not, I always end up using the entire spectrum of the rainbow in all of my pieces. Wow. Even ones that look like their skin tone or something. If you look closer, there's layers of green and purple and blue and pink.
Yellow,
and red. Yes, like you can see everything in my paintings. And I love that about my work, because it's like unintentionally intentional.
Right.
It just kind of happens, and it's just like, it's something that my hands do. It's just something that I feel like I need to use every single color. But yeah, like all the patterns and stuff, that was another spurt of creativity, because I am starting now to get away from that. I still like to use patterns, but you play with them differently, and they morph into different things the more that you continue to do them, and I think my art will continue evolving in that way.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'll have like a style that sticks with me, but it'll be something surrounding portraits and however I play with them.
Yeah, I'm very excited to go through this journey with you.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to keep ourselves updated on what's going on and what you're into now.
Yes.
All right, well, I kind of want to leave the audience with this quote that you have on your bio. Patience and persistence. It's a practice that makes perfect. Mm-hmm. Why would you choose that as your bio quote?
So I came up with that. I like art, like with any avenue of it, I just enjoy playing with words, and somehow that ended up, there's a word for it, I don't know what it's called, but every word in there starts with a P, unintentionally, but it sounds good, and I thought it made sense to me. Typically everything I do, it makes sense to me, and it's something for me, and whatever anyone else can get out of it, I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you bring recognition to that, because no one has ever pointed my bio out, and it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just like practice that's life. You go through so many practices, whether you know it or not. Like you practice until you finally get the right, until you finally tie your shoes correctly. Like you practice up until
learning
that
how to
point.
drive. Yeah.
Every single thing. Like
practice.
When you don't know you're doing it, you're practicing, and practice is a lifelong. You're going to keep practicing until you get to the point of completing anything. I always mention practice, because it's something that you constantly have to do in order to, I don't want to say perfect, but in order to get to where you want to go, you have to practice. It's never going to show up. It's never going to be what you want it to be when you want it to be there,
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that was a beautiful ending to our interview.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you for having me. I'm appreciative.
Of course. Anytime
Yes.
that you'd like to come back, you are welcome to.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, we will be going on a quick break, but do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
Support for KAMU comes from the Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts at Texas A&M University, bringing innovative and culturally diverse visual and performing arts programming to Texas A&M University and the Brazos Valley. The Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts fosters the creativity of our community via the transformative power of the arts.
And we are back. You are listening to The Heart of Art with Hector Nino. Now I'll be revisiting my interview with Elena Reece, the artistic director of Friends of Chamber Music. Today in the studio, we have a very special guest. Her name is Elena Reece. She is currently the artistic director at Friends of Chamber Music and has been part of that organization since 2003. She has 2 masters, one in music history, literature and theory, and another in musicology and ethnomusicology. So she is really using her skills at Friends of Chamber Music. So, hi Elena, how are you today?
Hi Hector, I'm glad to be here.
I'm very glad to have you. I was wondering what being an artistic director for the Friends of Chamber Music actually entailed.
it entails a lot of things.
Yes, I bet.
We try to make a good balance between our artistic desires in forming our season and our financial means,
Right.
which is not an easy thing to do. So basically, it entails forming a season, working with a list of prospective candidates, and going through it and trying to see which artist or which group suits us the best, is the better match for our upcoming season. Why it is so. Then it also entails working with the agencies and trying to wiggle around their schedules, because it's not an easy thing to find the time in the calendar when the artists are en route and when they are not flying specifically to College Station, but maybe to big metropolitan areas around us, and then can make a quick trip to College Station Bryan.
Right, yeah. So
At least that is our intention every time. And also you asked about artistic direction. It's basically, it is that I try to see what's the best for the organization and the best for the area, for our listeners. Because again, we need to find a good balance. Perhaps Friends of Chamber Music, let's say hypothetically, would like to have a lot of modern music, of contemporary composers, of musicians who would perform that music in our series. But it is very well understood that our listeners, our audiences, and it's not an exception, it's happening worldwide, they are very well accustomed to and longing for real classical music. Some groups, they intend to actually incorporate modern music in their overall classical programs. So we need to negotiate with them on that ground as well.
yes, I do want to go a little bit into your personal story and where you got your love for the arts. So this master's in musicology, what exactly does musicology mean?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a question that I believe many people have, but very few are not afraid to ask because it sounds very unfamiliar and strange. Musicology is basically, it means study of music. It incorporates on the ground level, it incorporates music history as a focus of study. And that would mean that certain composition taken for analysis represents not only a set of music notes written on paper, but also the whole societal narrative and societal attitudes of the time when that composition was created.
Right.
So with all these considerations, with the previous history of music behind that composition and all previous musical developments that led to it, there is a lot to unpack in every single work of music that you have either in front of you on the music stand or you listen to. We can talk about musicology being a specifically academic area of research, but we can talk about musicology being actually applied to what we hear on stage nowadays.
All right, you guys, that is the end of our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great week, and make sure to tune in next week. I'm Hector Nino, and you've been listening to The Heart of Art, a production of 90.9 KAMU FM. You can find all of our shows anytime at kamu.tamu.edu.
The Heart of Art is brought to you by the Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts at Texas A&M University, bringing innovative and culturally diverse visual and performing arts programming to Texas A&M University and the Brazos Valley. The Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts fosters the creativity of our community via the transformative power of the arts.